If you're thinking about launching a YouTube channel in 2023, there's never been a better time. You're not too late. I'm going to talk about what you need to do to prepare your YouTube channel and to thrive in 2023 on YouTube. One of the mistakes that I have made is being all over the place with my YouTube channel. And sometimes we've got to find what it is that we want to focus on. So that's my first point. As you look at launching your channel in 2023, the first thing you need to do is find your focus. Find your focus. What is it that you're going to primarily talk about? And it doesn't mean you might not have a few tangents here and there. For me, it's social media. And that's what I have found over and over again is when I create content centered on social media strategy, it's what I know the best, and it's what people that follow me are most interested in, and where I found the best engagement. So while I do talk about Web3 and NFTs, and I do some tech reviews, at the core, I'm focused on social media. And so as you think about what your channel is going to be about and what it's going to be like, what is that primary focus going to be for your channel? The second thing you need to do, so once you have your focus, you need to create your first video, and your first video should be an introduction video. So this doesn't need to be a long video. This should probably be about 1 minute to 2 minutes long, and it's an introduction as to who you are, why your channel exists, and why they should subscribe. And so for me, it's an introduction of, I'm Nils Smith. I want to be your social media guide. I'm going to create content on this channel to help you thrive on social media. So subscribe if you're interested in content about social media. That's my introduction. That's who I am. That's what this channel will be about and why I think you should subscribe. And so what you first need to do is, once you have a channel, is making your first video doesn't need to be one of your regular videos. It needs to be your introduction video as to who you are, what your channel is about, and why they should subscribe. So create that introduction video first. Now, the third thing you need to do is to establish your templates. Now, this can be a bit confusing, but there's a few kind of key templates that you're going to set up in your workflow for your YouTube channel. One is your title. So how are you going to title your videos? What's going to be kind of your strategy for titling so that people search, they're finding your video? The second is your thumbnails. What are your thumbnails going to look like? And what's that structure of that thumbnails? And the reality is not every thumbnail needs to look the same, but they're generally gonna have some consistency. And I think one of the channels that people are most aware of when it comes to thumbnails is Mr. Beast. But when you look at Mr. Beast videos, their thumbnails, there's kind of a template to it. Now there's a uniqueness to every video, but there's some uniquenesses to Mr. Beast's face and how that's gonna be placed on the thumbnail. And so you've got to have your title template, you got to have your thumbnail template. You also need to have your description template. And so there's going to be kind of core about this video, but then you're also going to have here's a link to my social media channels, some other social media platforms. Here's a link to my website. Here's some other information that as you watch the video, actions I want you to take. And so there's going to be a general template that you can follow. This saves you time. Instead of creating a unique thumbnail every time and a unique title every time and a unique description every time, use that template and then make it unique off of the template. So save your time in that foundational structure. And then the last thing is your end screen. So this is where at the end of your video, people can click to subscribe or they can click to watch another video. You want to have a general template for that end screen so that people can then take action at the end of your video. So yeah, create your templates. Okay, I'm going to get into the weeds a little bit more on the first thing, but let's review. So you got to find your focus. You've got to create your introduction video. You've got to create your templates. Now the next step is to identify your key search terms. Identify your key search terms. And so for me, I am creating a social media channel. And so some of the key search terms are social media strategy, social media consulting, social media help, but then even like LinkedIn, strategies, LinkedIn help, YouTube strategies, YouTube help. And so I'm looking at some key search terms where when somebody searches for Instagram, I want them to follow me and find my videos. And so there's some just key terms that I want to consistently use in both my titles and my description and in the content I'm going to be creating. And so think through what are maybe the top 10 key search terms that you want people to find you when that happens. And that's going to help you identify your strategy, both the content you're creating and then in your titles and then your descriptions and some of the other things you're doing. So understanding that YouTube is a search engine at the core, and it's how people are most likely going to find your videos. So start with those keyword search phrases and terms that you want people to find you with, and make that list and establish that moving forward. Okay, the fifth and the last tip that I want to give you as you go into 2023 and you launch and build out your YouTube channel is to create great content. And this is something that people say over and over again, but it's so important. We'll get so caught up in the thumbnails and so caught up in the weeds, and those things are important. But at the end of the day, if we don't have great content, it doesn't matter. And so what you've got to focus on more than anything is creating great content. And so don't obsess over how long the content is and so many of those things that you'll get into, I think, down the road. What's the best content you can create that's going to add the most value to people that are watching your videos? And so as you think about what your focus is going to be, what's the best content you can create toward that focus and towards that key, those key search terms that you want people to find you? What's the best content you can create to add the most value to your viewers, and then build your subscriber base and really begin to grow your channel and expand your audience? Are you thinking about outsourcing your social media? I want to talk about why you should and why you shouldn't potentially outsource your social media, and some tips if you're going to do it. And in this video, I'm talking about outsourcing social media. And full transparency, I own a social media marketing agency. So we do outsource social media. So I want to share from my perspective of having outsourced my social media, having built a social media marketing agency, and what I've learned of who this works for and who this doesn't work for, and some things you need to know before you jump into outsourcing your social media. So if you're going to outsource your social media, or even if you're not, one of the things you need to be clear on is your brand. Who are you? What are you about? What are you trying to accomplish? What is your core message? At the end of the day, every organization has a message that they want to bring to their audience. And so even if you're a grocery store, you want to bring an understanding, an education of produce, and you want to bring an understanding of how to basically shop more effectively and efficiently, or whatever it might be, that you have a message that you want to communicate, and you need to be clear if this is what you're about, and this is who you want to reach, and this is what you want to engage them around. And so you need to be clear as to who you are and what your brand is, so that when you're outsourcing, you can communicate that to whoever is going to do your social media. So if you're doing it yourself, you for sure need to know it. But if you're outsourcing it, you need to be able to articulate it effectively to whoever it is that you're going to outsource your content to, or your social media management to. The second thing you need to define is you need to set measurable goals. You need to set measurable goals. And so I think people often just think social media is magic of, I just start posting on social media, hopefully my business is I'm just gonna have a bunch of customers that are paying a bunch of money because I had a viral video on Instagram Reels. And that's not how it works. I think you've got to very definitively understand that social media fits into your holistic marketing strategy to grow your organization. And so understanding who it is you want to reach and what it is you want them to do, and then have measurable objectives tied to that of, do we know that our content is reaching those people, and can we tell if they're taking the actions that we want them to take? So begin to set measurable goals and understand those are going to change because social media changes, maybe even your core business goals change, but you need to have measurable goals rather than just 10 posts a week. 10 posts a week isn't really, it's measurable that you put it out there, but it doesn't really accomplish anything. You want to know that those 10 posts a week reached a certain number of people and led them to a certain number of actions. So set measurable goals. The third thing that I want to encourage you to do if you're going to outsource your social media is to choose a partner. Now you're like, of course, I've got to choose what business I'm going to use. But I use that language partner importantly in that they're really a partner in your goals. They're a partner in accomplishing your role. They're essentially an employee of yours, but when you're hiring an agency or outsourcing, you're likely hiring a team of people that you're getting, but you want to know that they're aligned to your mission and to your objectives and to your goals. And it's not just a transactional relationship, just like an employee You don't want to be transactional with your employees. You want to help them to embrace your mission and goals. And a good social media management partner is going to be a partner, not just a transactional somebody that's going to check some boxes for you and get your social media done so you don't have to think about it anymore. The fourth thing you want to do when it comes to outsourcing your social media is you want to monitor your voice. Monitor your voice. So this comes in the copywriting, this comes in even the brand and the designs that you see. This comes in even the comments, if they're doing comment management or DM management. You don't want to always just be looking over their shoulder, but you do want to be just reviewing. Is this staying in line with our voice? Is this going in the direction we want it to go in? And when it's not, you need to give them direction. And so this is part of the process. Is it's going to be rare that an outsourced social media partner is going to just naturally get your voice, because it takes time. It took you time to learn your voice. It takes other employees time to learn your voice, and it's going to take that partner time to learn your voice. So make sure you're helping to monitor that voice and give feedback so that's process of development and them getting better and understanding your voice and better representing your brand. The next step is to budget for advertising. At this point in the game of social media, it's typically a pay-to-play system, and not everything you have to spend money, and there's naturally some organic reach, or a lot of organic reach, that can be accomplished, but used most effectively, advertising just enhances your organic efforts and it helps drive more response. So much of what you want to do on social media is to drive people off of social media, and that's where social media platforms make you pay when they're going to leave your platform. And so you can use things like retargeting ads, where you can take people that organically engage with you and then drive them to a sales page or a landing page or somewhere else outside of that social network, where you can even capture their email address. And so think through how it is and what it is you want to accomplish on social media, and to be ready to spend some advertising dollars along with that outsourced social media. So you need to budget both for whoever's going to manage the social media, but then you also need to budget and give them budget for advertising that's going to enhance those efforts on social media. And then the last thing you want to do is to measure results. And so I think at the end of the day, whatever partner that you're working with, they should be delivering some kind of result metrics to you every month, or you need to be paying attention to and aware of how effectively are these efforts, and the data is going to tell you. And so you should be able to have trackable metrics that you're able to monitor every month to see if, are we reaching more people? Are we engaging them further? Are they taking the actions we want them to take? And so as you've established what you want them to do on the front end of your social media strategy, measure as to whether that's actually happening. So don't just hope that's happening, but know that that's happening, that those actions are being taken. So measure the effectiveness of that partnership. So the question is, should you outsource your social media? And the reality is that's up to you. I think if you have the budget to do it, and you lack time capacity to do it yourself, I think outsourcing is a great way to handle your social media, and we found it to be a great opportunity. The reality is nobody is going to know your brand better than you do, but by outsourcing social media, they can do things like editing and graphic design and certain just nuances to TikTok and Instagram and Twitter that are going to be unique to those platforms that you probably can't keep up with all the changing landscapes of social media. So I believe that a hybrid effect of managing, being involved in your social media while outsourcing aspects of your social media is typically going to be best for almost every organization. So I want to encourage you, consider outsourcing your social media. And with that, I want to encourage you, consider outsourcing your social media to us at Amplify Social Media, where we would love to come alongside you and help you accomplish your goals through social media, and just come alongside you and augment what it is that you're doing, whether that's fully handing off total management of your social media or just helping in certain areas. We would love to help. In this video, I want to talk about my 9-step process of creating YouTube videos and what you can learn from it and establishing your process. Your process doesn't have to be my process, but I think there's something to learn from everybody's process to enhance your YouTube video creation process. So let's talk about the 9 steps that I use to basically create my YouTube videos. The first step for me is concept. And so one of the things I do is I just have notes in my iPhone, and I create basically a video title and general points. And it's just basically a simple outline. So a title and an outline is where I start. So that's where the concept begins before I record a video. Okay, the second step is after I have a concept, I capture. So I don't go through a lot of process of, setting up a space or, overthinking the capture. I just literally set up my camera and I have my title and I have my little mini outline, which is typically about 4 or 5 points that are maybe 1 or 2 words per point. And I just hit record. Now I might stop and re-record, and typically what I do when I hit record is I will take a break and I'll pause and I'll restart, but I don't turn it off and I just basically I hit record until I'm done recording. I don't stop recording and then start recording again and start all over. I just get all the way through the video, even if I have hiccups along the way. So I create that outline and then I capture the video. And so that video capture could go 10 minutes if it's a 8-minute video, or it could go 30 minutes because I had a lot of hiccups along the way. But I hit capture and I just talk it out until I feel like I have captured the message of my videos. And so so I go from concept to capture. Okay, step 3. Now it's the editing process. So step 3 is to edit the video. This is where I actually get out of the way. I have an incredible team that edits my videos, but you're likely maybe your own editor, or you prefer to do it yourself. And this is one of those areas as you think about what you have to do yourself is really the concepts and the video capturing you have to do yourself. Everything else other people can do. It's actually what we do at Amplify Social Media. Here's a link if you want to check out our website and want some help with your videos. But if you're editing your videos, that's the next step. And they often say that for every minute of video is an hour of editing. Now that's up to you of how much time you want to put into your edits. But yeah, it's that editing process. And so finding the right software, whether that's just a simple iMovie that's built into your computer or getting into Adobe, but then just editing that video. So taking that initial capture and then getting it into your editing software and getting it set essentially as the video itself, that final product that you want to create. And so this is where a lot of the heavy lifting comes in, and really where a lot of the magic comes in. So you've got to have a great idea, you got to have a great capture, but then you also need to edit that video well and have a good process for how you're going to edit. Now the 4th step is to review. And this is where you often are going to need another set of eyes. So if you've been the one to both create the video idea, capture the video, edit the video, it's probably helpful to now have someone else review the video and just give you feedback of, are there more edits that are needed? Is there anything that's missing? Is there anything that maybe that you said wrong or did wrong in that video? So you need a review. Now for me, I'm the reviewer. So while somebody else is editing, then I review that video and the thumbnail and the other aspects of the video as part of that review process. But yeah, you've got to have somebody that is going to review, whether that's yourself or someone else. But it really needs to be somebody that's not the editor, that is the reviewer of that video. Okay, so you've got the video. There's 4 steps, got you to a finished video, and now you gotta hit publish. This is the easiest step, but often the hardest step. So press that publish button, push your video out into the world. And so yeah, do what is the easiest and the hardest step in the process and press publish, or press schedule, which is essentially the same as publish, to have it then be published at a specific time. But yeah, it's time to push publish and get it out into the world. Okay, 5 steps. You've got your video out there, but you're not done. At the end of the day, while YouTube will hopefully bring you a lot of viewers, you have an audience elsewhere, whether that's just a few friends to text message, or an email list to email, or Twitter followers or Instagram followers. You need to use all the channels that you have to drive initial engagement to that video. So you've got to now promote that video. So that's the next step, is once you've hit publish, now you need to promote. And so find every outlet that you have and create a system for every time you release a video. What do you do to promote it? And I think, you look at a channel like Mr. Beast, where you can see immediately after he pushes it out there, you can see a tweet that goes out and an Instagram message that goes out that takes a little clip or a picture that's intriguing, that makes people want to go watch that video on YouTube. And so after you hit publish, make sure you follow the process for you that helps you promote it to the broadest audience and the right audience for that specific video. So promote your video. Okay, so your video is out there. It's hopefully getting some engagement, and part of engagement is comments. And I think remembering that YouTube, while it's a search engine, it's a video hosting platform, it's also a social network. It's a place that people are commenting and engaging with your content. And I want to encourage you, don't let this just be a one-way conversation of you putting a video out and them responding with comments, but you respond to their comments. Be engaged in the conversation that you've now created with your video. And sometimes now YouTube comments can get a little weird. Sometimes I think you gotta be rational of, there's some crazies out there. They're going to say some things that might offend you. But when you are responsive, especially to the positive comments and the really helpful dialogue that is stirred, you're going to see your engagement grow tremendously as people feel like they can actually interact with the creator. They're going to be much more likely to watch more of your videos in the future, and you're going to develop a trust with that audience in a very significant way. So don't just hit publish and let YouTube, do the work from there. Hit publish, promote your video, and then engage with that audience as they are engaging with your content. Okay, step 8, we're almost done with the process, and that is to measure the effectiveness of your video. YouTube gives you such incredible data and analytics. You can actually see how far people watched in the video, where people watched from, where they found your video. And so this will help you understand did you title it well for search results because you saw a lot of search engagement there? Did people stay? Did 60% of people that started watching it watch it all the way to the end, or did they drop off at a certain point? And so pay attention to the analytics. The data point that I think is most important for every video is minutes watched or hours watched, however, that it's displaying that in your video, in percentage of video viewed. And so those are kind of go together. There's two pieces. And so we often get obsessed with how many views we got, but the reality is if we got a bunch of views, but they only watched for 10 seconds, it's really not quality engagement. And we're probably not actually gonna get a whole lot more views because YouTube's gonna say this video isn't that interesting. But when we can see our percentage of video viewed really high, we know that video is probably gonna do well. And there's things we wanna learn of, let's do this again because this did really well. Or if we see a low engagement, let's not do this again because we saw low engagement. So pay attention to the analytics. So as you promote, as you publish, as you get your content out there, pay attention to how people are engaging with it so that you can learn for your next video. Okay, number 9 and the last step here is to repeat. Don't just post one video and be done. Post that video, learn from that video, and then post another video and another video and another video. And every video you post, you're gonna get a little bit better. Your process is gonna get cleaner. Your systems are gonna get faster. Your quality is gonna get better. And so repeat. So go through this process and create your process. But then as you establish that process, refine it and get better and better and better. But don't stop. It can feel like a lot of work, and it is a lot of work. But the reality is we're building this audience. We need to keep, investing into this audience with new and better and more content. And so whether that's once a week, once a month, once a day, make sure you establish your rhythm and your flow for creating new content that's going to build and grow that audience that you're building. Okay, that's it. That's my 9-step process. I hope it was helpful for you as you learn and build your YouTube video flow. Have you seen deepfake technology? And deepfake technology being where machines are basically acting like humans. And so they're recording voices and then they're saying things as if, a human said it. And I've seen, Elon Musk or Donald Trump, or even some of my friends have used some of this deepfake technology to show how it's being used. And it's scary. What's being created, that essentially a fake version of ourselves can be created on the internet. And I want to talk about, what do we do about this crazy new technology that's here? It's here fast, and how I think we address the craziness, the scariness of deepfake AI technology. So how do we even trust that anything is actually real? So I want to talk about just 4 things that I think can help us in the future of technology, and that I hope technology companies adapt and adjust. But I think we need to be paying attention to when it comes to deepfake technology and how we address this innovation. So the first thing I think we need to do, and it is happening, but I think we need to prioritize, is verification. I've heard so many people say, like, I don't like that I got to pay $15 for a blue check mark. And the reality is, we have always just used these technologies for free, and then we get upset that people are selling our data. Well, that's how they make money. But the reality is, this is a new way for them to make money so that they don't have to sell our data, and actually can keep us more secure in having a payment system. But that payment system has a verification aspect to it. And so does that verification within these social media profiles. So I love that Twitter and Instagram and Facebook are creating verification systems for all of us, not just for celebrities, because we're all being impersonated or all have the potential to be impersonated online. And so, yeah, I think verification is an important step, and I like the approach that these companies are taking, and they need to continue to take them, and we need to proactively go through those processes so that we can be more secure online, and that we can verify and know that who we're talking to is who we're talking to. And so this is part of the challenges of the innovation and the improvements of the internet in some ways, and we call it improvements, but it adds new complexities that we have to address. So verification is a big part of that. And I think this is verification of different files too. Like, this is actually recorded by this camera of this person and isn't a deep fake. And so I think there's gonna be lots of verification systems and processes created in the future that we need to be prioritizing in our systems and processes as well, and leaning into those things. Now, I'm going to talk about government for a minute. And when it comes to deepfake technology, I think we need to have real consequences as to what happens when you abuse this technology. And so while I hope we have good verification systems and stuff in place, the reality is we've got a lot of scammers out there impersonating people today without deepfake technology, and very successfully scamming people. So this technology is going to make that even worse. And I think what we've got to really prioritize, or what our government's got to prioritize, is what are the consequences of scammers. And I think this is hard because you're talking about people in different countries, and the internet is global, and who governs that. I think we've got to figure that out. I don't know the answer to this, but I do know we've got to come up with better consequences. And I think these social media platforms need to create better consequences as to how we can even make sure that people are posting these things don't just create another VPN and set up another fake account and create another deep fake. We've got to be able to better track people and track systems and deepfake technologies with verification, and have significant consequences for people that violate these rules and laws and policies that are being created around verification with deepfake technology. I really don't like saying this because getting on the internet should be fun, but when we get on the internet, we've got to be vigilant. And that's the reality of the internet today, with all the scammers out there and all the impersonators out there, and with this deepfake technology that is developing really fast. We've got to stay vigilant. And when we see a scammer, even we are concerned that there's a scam, we've got to question whether it's real. We got to question whether it's a scam and help others avoid those scams as well. And so we've got to stay vigilant. We need to not just hope that Facebook or that Twitter or that YouTube is taking care of all the verification and all of the consequences and all of that. We individually as users have to stay vigilant and help police this together and help shut down, scammers and fakes and impersonators because it's coming. And at the end of the day, I think deepfake technology can be really cool and can be really interesting and have some unique opportunities. But I think more than anything, it can really set us up for a lot of abuse. And so we as users, if we're going to use the internet and get good quality use out of the internet, we have to be vigilant in how we're using it and how we're addressing issues that we're seeing arise, especially when it comes to the development of deepfake technology. So the solution to deepfake technology for most people is we just have to stop creating it and stop innovating around these technologies. And that is not the answer. I think at the end of the day, innovation and progress is a good thing. And I think with innovation, we have to address the concerns and the issues that come with it. So limiting innovation and stopping progress is not the answer. I think about innovations around deepfake technology where you could do language translation to any language like I could record these videos and then they could be in any language in my voice using deepfake technology. I love that. That's awesome. That's very cool. But it's got to be used appropriately. So I think at the end of the day, the innovation around deepfake technology is cool. And I think it is going to open up opportunities we haven't dreamed of yet. So I don't think we should stop progress, but I just think we've got to be thoughtful as to how we approach and how we address some of the concerns. So this is one of those innovations that I see a lot of concerns around, and I have a lot of concerns around, but I don't think we should stop progress. I think we need to keep innovating while we're also proactively addressing the concerns associated with this technology innovation. So I think Facebook might be making a comeback, and I'm gonna explain why in this video. I've given up on Facebook the last couple of years with my content, and then the last 3 months, 4 months, I've been posting more on Facebook, and I'm seeing some of the best engagement of all platforms back on Facebook where I have the smallest following. So it's interesting to see, even with some of my other clients, where Facebook organically is seeing a shift. And here's some reasons why I think Facebook might be seeing a comeback. The first reason is their features. The reality is, because Facebook has been around so long and they've built so much money, is they have all the great features when it comes to the algorithms, the data, the information, the video, the groups, the pages, the profiles. They've got it all. If there's a feature that any social network has or needs, Facebook has it. So at the end of the day, they don't need to build anything. They just maybe lack the user engagement. The second feature is, even while people might not be spending as much time on Facebook, most people already have a Facebook account like they have an email account. And so you really just need to get people to come back to Facebook. You don't need to get people to create a Facebook account, and they already know how to use Facebook. They're just not using it as much. So the user base already exists as well. The third reason is advertising. The reality is, one of the hardest things for any social network, and Twitter is learning this and has learned this the hard way, is advertisers, and building a great advertising platform that works well for the ad buyers, as well as creating a great user experience. And while Facebook, I think, has overdone it when it comes to too many ads in their platform, they have a great ad platform for both ad buyers and the users of their platforms. The fourth reason is data. And so while data privacy is becoming a bigger and bigger deal, and I think while we'll probably have less access to data, historically, they already own all the data. And so the data that they exist for a new social network to come along and grow their platform and grow their data systems, they would have to start all over, and that's gonna be a lot harder. So for a company like Facebook that already owns all the data that they have and has the massive data library that they have, they've got the advantage over others for sure. And the fifth reason that I think Facebook can win is because of their opportunity to innovate better than anyone else. And so while they've been around and they kind of have this historical background in history and maybe had some ups and downs, the reality is they've already run ahead when it comes to spatial computing with Oculus and so many other features with WhatsApp and Instagram and all the technologies that live within their ecosystem and that they can build on top of. They're already way ahead, and they have continued to innovate when it comes to their technology. So for all of those reasons, that's why I think Facebook can make a comeback, and maybe will make a comeback. In this video, we're gonna talk about 5 ways that you can enhance your LinkedIn profile today. LinkedIn is one of my favorite platforms, and I've connected with so many different people on LinkedIn and had such great success. One of the things I've actually even enjoyed is being a LinkedIn influencer and being invited up to the LinkedIn offices here in New York City in the Empire State Building. They've got some of the best offices I've visited, in a great cafeteria, by the way, and great coffee there in the office. But I'm not here to talk about LinkedIn's offices, here to talk about your LinkedIn profile. So let's talk about how you can improve your LinkedIn profile today. The most important thing on your LinkedIn profile is your photo. It's how people are going to find you, see you, connect with you, know you. Have a great profile image, and don't do like a full body shot. You need to do a headshot, and a headshot probably where you're smiling. But this is a professional social network, so use a professional headshot, or a way that you want people to see you and to know you personally and professionally. Use a great headshot. The next thing you need to do to optimize your LinkedIn profile is to update your headline. Now, use a headline that both people will search and find you, as well as what you want people to know about you. So for me, I use things like crypto enthusiast or social media marketer. And those are things that I talk about a lot and that I'm very interested in and want to connect with people around. So when people find me, I use those titles as a way to connect with them. And so people often will use their job title, and that's okay. But the reality is people can also search and find your job title
titles through your bio, this is a way for you to kind of give almost like a micro bio of what you want people to know about you professionally and to connect with maybe your content or connect with you personally around. The third thing is to add a banner image. This is something that a lot of people leave off, and it takes a little bit more graphic design support, but you can use a tool like Canva and just create a banner image. And at one point I just used a city skyline in New York City because that represents where I'm based and a lot of the things that I do, and people come to New York City to connect, or I use a picture of myself speaking, as I do a lot of public speaking or podcasting. And so get a banner image that represents you well professionally and creates connection. And maybe it's an image of your company, or maybe it's an image of you doing something, an activity that isn't in your profile image, but does better represent you. So as people are checking you out, they see that image, and that will enhance that first impression that people have of you pretty significantly. The fourth thing you need to do is take the time to fill out your bio completely. Now, this includes all of your job history, maybe even a lot of your volunteer opportunities. This also probably includes some of your interest in your activities. This would include your education, maybe even some certificates that you've gotten through the years. This is a way for people to get to know you professionally and your experience and your expertise and different reasons why they might want to connect with you. So fill it in, be thorough and be complete, and make sure your profile, your bio is thorough in how you describe your work history and your professional background as people read about you and get to know you before they reach out to you. And then the last thing you need to do today is connect with everyone you know professionally. So go through and go through your phone book and just see, are these people in your, on LinkedIn, and connect with them and make sure you're connected to as many people that you already are connected with personally. And then that will enhance maybe the opportunity to connect with people that you aren't yet connected with and be able to expand your professional network from there. All right, so I hope those tips helped you with your LinkedIn. If you do those 5 things today, I think you'll begin to see that you'll begin to build traction with both reaching and engaging new people, maybe enhancing your professional network. And LinkedIn is one of those platforms that you might not need it. You might not be looking for a job, but it's never going to hurt you to have a complete bio out there online. And you might be surprised who you might connect with that you weren't expecting to by just being present and being available there on LinkedIn. For the first time in many years, Twitter is actually growing. It's fascinating watching Elon take over Twitter, and they lost like 80% of their employee workforce, yet the company is growing for the first time in several years. It's fascinating to watch, and we're going to talk about in this video how you can grow your presence on Twitter in 2023. So if you're going to invest in Twitter and you want to grow your Twitter platform, you got to show up. You can't just be like, oh, I don't have any followers on Twitter. You got to show up every single day, and you got to tweet at least once a day. The reality of showing up, it means you need to engage with others. You need to be present. You need to listen. There's lots of things to do when you show up, but you also need to show up and you need to say something. So at least every single day, you need to tweet, a text-only tweet, something. Tweet every day. That's your first step. So if you want to get started, you want to engage and grow your Twitter, show up and say something. Now, here's the number 1 tip. If you want to grow your Twitter in 2023, reply. Reply as much as you can. Reply and engage as much as you can. Look at what's trending and reply. Leave your thoughts. And that's how people are going to find you. They're not going to just randomly come across your tweet when you have 12 followers. They're going to see your replies that are thoughtful to other people's tweets and say, who's this guy? Who's this lady? Why? What are they about? Because I align, or I'm curious about that comment. So if you want to grow your following, the best way to do that is to reply as much as you can. Now, there's limits. There's, thousands of tweets every second that are being tweeted. So you can't reply to every tweet, but spend more time replying than you do just talking and tweeting and posting. This is one of my favorite things to do on Twitter. And it's the first thing I actually do in the morning is I look at what's trending. What are the top 20 topics? And can I jump in those trends? And so I'll jump into those trends and I'll reply to the people that are tweeting about those hot topics, or I will just tweet based on those hot topics because I know that's what people are focused on. They're thinking about, that's top of mind. And I want to share my thoughts related to what's going on in culture. And so especially if it's something specific to what I'm, most passionate about, like social media, I'm going to tweet about that. And so look at what's trending, look at what's trending even locally in your area, and then tweet about those things, reply to those tweets. So follow the trends, because Twitter is primarily a news platform that is focused on what's going on at the center of, town square. And so, yeah, look at what's going on and talk about what's going on. Right now, what I see as a hack, what's trending most on Twitter, what gets the best engagement on Twitter, like 5 times the engagement on the tweets that I have using this tactic, and that's polls. When I make a poll where basically it's like, would you rather have Nike or Reebok shoes? It's a simple like, check this or that. It's not a reply with a word. So it's just really easy to interact with. And when Twitter sees that interaction, they're going to show it to more people. And so tweeting polls is a great way to, 1, learn about your audience and what they're interested in, and 2, it's a great way to just increase your organic engagement. And so when it comes to what's working right now on Twitter, polls are the tool or the tactic that I would try to use regularly. I would try to tweet at least 1 poll once a week, maybe more, if you can think about different things that relate to what's important to you and your followers. Okay, I want to talk about something that I don't use very much myself, but I do think is a great tool if you have time capacity, and that's spaces on Twitter. And so this is basically, you can create a space, and it's an audio, basically like a big Zoom call just for audio. And it's a way where you can talk about, basically give it a title, and you can talk about anything. You can talk about politics, you can talk about crypto, or you could talk about, news items, and you have a room, and it could be 3 people or 2 people talking, or it could be 20,000 people talking, and you can have different people on stage, and it can be an interview or conversation, and you can basically have a bunch of people that are just listening. There's lots of different functionality to those spaces and how you can use those, but it's a great way to build an audience, as those are at the top of Twitter, and you can see, especially trending spaces, if you can create a space that gets a lot of attention, you're going to see a pretty significant audience grow pretty fast. And so spaces is a way that if you can have time to grow that audience, it's a great way to really, I think, be engaged natively with how Twitter is moving and where the current engagement is happening. If you're looking for somebody to follow that's using this tactic well, and Grant Cardone is a guy that I don't recommend everything he sells and says, but he is using spaces in a really creative way. And so watching what he does and how he's actually using his team to grow these audiences and having hour-long or multiple hours-long spaces that are going on and attracting an audience and building a following on these platforms, it's a really interesting tool. So yeah, so if you're looking to grow on Twitter, I would look at spaces as a tool. I would use polls, but make sure you're tweeting daily and you're replying to tweets more than you're tweeting. I think that's how you grow on Twitter in 2023. Cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing businesses out there, and for good reason. People are being hacked all the time. There are all kinds of issues on the internet. This is like a war that's happening all the time. And we shouldn't be scared to get on the internet. There are things we can do to secure ourselves on the internet. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about 3 things you can do to better secure yourself on the internet. Now, I got hacked about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now. And it was a nightmare. They got into my email accounts, or got into my PayPal accounts, got into my bank account. They were everywhere, and I couldn't figure out how they got in, what they did. The reality is I had the same password for everything. It was dumb. I was unsecure. I still don't know exactly how they got in, but I know they were in, and I couldn't get them out. And it took me months and really probably years to fully recover from that hack. And I learned a lot, and I have since kept really secure processes. And if I would have just taken the time to do the things that I knew I needed to do back then, I wouldn't have gone through the nightmare that I did. So it's worth taking the necessary measures, and they actually don't take nearly as much time or money as you might think. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about 3 things you can do to secure yourself while online. I don't get on the internet unless I have a VPN. A VPN is a virtual private network, which basically means I'm using the internet to log into another internet, and so that people can't really track me. It's crazy what people can see when we get on the internet or on their website. They can see where we are, basically like our physical location. They can track where we've been. They can put cookies, and there's all kinds of things. And when we use a virtual private network, it allows us to really basically act like we're logging in from a different place. Now, there's lots of uses for a VPN. And this could be that you could log in as if you're in the UK and watch Netflix from the UK. So there's shows that you would want to access, or you can choose a different location for where you want to log in. And this is something that scammers actually use quite a bit, but even for our personal use, when I'm watching Netflix or when I'm doing anything at home, and especially when I'm traveling, when I log in, I don't log into anything without a VPN, but I definitely wouldn't log into the internet, to hotel Wi-Fi or like a, coffee shop Wi-Fi without using a VPN. So what is a VPN? How do you use it? NordVPN is the one that I use, is probably the most popular, common one out there. There are others out there that are also great. Google has a great one as well. But basically, I think it's about $5 a month. And I do it through my Chrome browser, but there's different ways. And you can log into your phone and just set up a VPN, and it will have VPN login that you can use. It's pretty easy. And then once you do it, it pretty much automatically just does it. And so every time you log in, it will just automatically, and then you can log into your VPN and say, I actually want to switch from being in New York to being in Los Angeles, or being in London, or being in Dubai. And so you can choose your location. And so they have servers set up all over the place where you can basically log in through that server in that country or that city and location. So virtual private network is going to keep you secure online. So make sure when you log into the internet that you have a VPN. Let's talk about the most important thing that I think you need to do, even more important than a VPN when it comes to your security, and that is a password manager. I use LastPass. 1Password is another great solution that's out there. And essentially, I just have one password that logs me into my password manager. I just have to remember that one password, and then it easily lets me log into different sites and, create really complicated, unique passwords for every account that I have. And I just use LastPass, that tool, and it's a Chrome browser, it's an app in my phone, and all my passwords are there, but I can't get into that without my 1Password. I can't get into that without the security that I've already set up on my computer and on my phone. And so having a password manager for your probably hundreds of passwords that are out there, instead of using 1Password for everything, that if somebody got that password, they could get into your world, have this security system and have a really secure singular password that gets you access to all of your passwords. And so 1Password or LastPass is such a great tool to secure yourself online. Having good passwords and having those secure passwords is the most important thing you need to do to keep yourself secure online. Let's talk about the most annoying thing you've got to do to keep yourself secure online, and that's double authentication. People hate this. People are annoyed by this. I got to get a text message every time I log into my email, or I got to set up, every time I got to do this, I got to use the Authenticator app. It is worth it. It is worth it to have your Instagram, to have your Facebook, to have your email, everything set up with double authentication, to have the system having secure passwords through a password manager and using a VPN are really important. And then adding that extra layer of double authentication really just sets it up where it's like, it is so unlikely that somebody's going to be able to hack into your accounts. And so you got to have this combination of these three secure things, of a VPN, a secure password through a password manager, and then using authentication. And you can do this through a couple of different ways. Of one, just texting and getting that double authentication through text messages, or there are authentication apps. Google has a great authentication app where you can connect that to an account and use that as an authenticator, and it will give you basically 30 seconds or 60 seconds with a specific short code that you can punch into a website. So using an authentication app or using double authentication is essential. I know it's annoying, but trust me, it's worth it. Whatever hassle it takes to reset up that double authentication, and you can set it up where it changes, that you got to re-authenticate and change your password even every day. It's worth it. Go through that headache, that process to keep your stuff secure, and make sure you're keeping your email specifically secure, but keep everything secure. Go through the process, go through the headache. It's worth it. I just want to add one last thing to this video. As I think about all the different options that are available for future work, as we're talking about this, security guards have been something that have existed in basically the history of man, that we've needed security as people do bad things. And I think at the end of the day, the internet, bad things and people doing bad things are increasing more and more. As I think about the future of jobs, if I were looking for a future job or skill to learn, cybersecurity would be a path that I would go down. And so learning things like what can I do to help companies create their security measures? Basically, it must be like an internet security guard for these companies. And so it looks different, and it's complicated, different size companies. I actually get to know spent time with the cybersecurity team at USAA a few years back, a bank, and they do insurance and all kinds of things. But they, they had, dozens of people that literally just fought bad people that were trying to hack into their system and their clients' accounts. And so we've got to be proactive in how we handle our own stuff online. But I think there's actually a great professional opportunity. If you're looking for a career change, I'd throw out cybersecurity as a really great option that I believe many people are going to need and is going to be very valuable in the future. So just want to throw that out, as people are often coming to me of like, can I get into social media, digital stuff? You know what? Another opportunity would be cybersecurity that I think is worth pursuing.
Okay, how professional do you need to be on LinkedIn? How do you use LinkedIn? How do you crush LinkedIn on 2023? Let's talk about it. Let's lose the time. The first thing you need to do is have a great profile image, a very thoughtful, interactive profile image that represents you well. Now, I have been using a metaverse image, which I believe helps me stand out a little bit, but it's not what I recommend. So if you see my LinkedIn, I do want to caveat, if I still have that avatar image, that's probably not what you want to go with. I would recommend using a professional headshot. And so maybe that's with a tie, maybe that's not. But I wouldn't make it a personal, like with sunglasses on, or a family photo. This should be a professional headshot that represents you professionally. So that might be in a t-shirt, that might be in a tie, that might be in a button-up, that might be, whatever your environment is, or your profession is that you want to represent yourself. But I would make it about you and just you, and in a way that is professional in nature. The second thing is make sure your profile is filled out. This is more than just a resume. This is a place for you to communicate what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, what your journey has been. So make it more than just I did this, and this, but make it I'm interested in this, and I'm experimenting in this, and I'm curious about that. And so really fill out that profile and get a banner image as well. So don't just use the profile image, but use a banner image as well. Utilize all of these opportunities that LinkedIn uses to describe you. So as people are connecting with you, they know what you're about, what your background is. And honestly, these are a lot of the places that people find you, by what you fill out in your profile on your LinkedIn. So make sure you have a great profile image, and make sure you have a complete bio and profile layout within your LinkedIn platform. The third thing you want to do is make sure you're interacting with others. I think people often like, what do I say on LinkedIn? Well, you don't need to say anything. I would just start by, maybe comment on 5 people's posts a day. And so read what LinkedIn puts in your feed. And if somebody gets a new job, say, congratulations. If somebody posts an article, read that article and share a comment or a thought about it. You don't have to go on LinkedIn and lead the conversation. You actually probably shouldn't do that. If you're new to LinkedIn, you should go on LinkedIn and be a part of the conversation that's happening and see how people are behaving, see what you see that is engaging the most, and then interact from that perspective. The next thing you need to do after you've set up your profile and after you've begun to engage with others is to begin to add your own content. Now, the type of content that currently is performing, and in 2022 performed the best were polls. And this is a great way to basically create content, but then also listen to what others are saying. And so ask people, like one of the things I like to ask because I'm into technology is, do you like Android or iPhone? Do you like Bitcoin or Ethereum? Do you like Facebook or Instagram? And it helps me to understand who it is that's following me and that's paying attention to what I'm saying to give them better content. And so you don't have to really overthink your content or create this like really uniquely inspiring, Tony Robbins type of content. It can just be a question that you're really curious about your followers and what they're interested in, which will help you then shape the future content that you create. So begin to say some things beyond just commenting on people's posts. So begin to lead the conversation a little bit. And the last thing I want to recommend, and this is something you need to not overdo, but make sure that you are doing, that's to use the DMs. And so as people are DMing you, a lot of it's going to be spam. And so delete those or don't respond to those. But as you get direct messages from people, some of those are going to be meaningful and valuable. Be responsive to those. That my first consulting gig came from a random LinkedIn message
that was so unexpected. You just never know. And I've been able to help other people get jobs from random LinkedIn messages that they just reached out to me. I'm looking for this, and I was able to connect them to someone else. And the way that we're able to help people or connect with people or respond to people that reach out to us on LinkedIn, it's happening in the DMs. So pay attention to those DMs. Even though they can feel very spammy at times, there is value happening in the DMs. And you might want to consider DMing a couple people. Now, don't be a spammer and don't be too aggressive in those DMs, but it's amazing who it is that you can actually connect with by just actively DMing people that you're connected to on LinkedIn. And the last thing I want to say is don't just be responsive to the DMs, but be responsive to the comments. And so when people comment on your post, or they even comment on your comments on their post, reply back to them. Stay engaged in the conversation. Don't just post and then let them talk, out of your post, but talk back with them and be a part of the ongoing conversation. This is networking. This is like a big digital Rotary Club that's happening, that people can come to and interact with each other and do business together and learn from each other and connect to each other. So jump in, join the community, add to the community, and be a part of the community. And I think you're going to see incredible success, whatever that might look like in your career, in your profession, by just prioritizing this platform and being engaged in the most native way that makes sense for the platform of LinkedIn. So you might have seen my thumbnail and seen the YouTube plaque and think, you don't have enough subscribers to have a YouTube plaque. You have to have 100,000 subscribers to get that. And the reality is I don't have 100,000 subscribers yet, but many of my clients do. As a social media consultant, I've helped a lot of channels grow to hundreds of thousands and even millions of YouTube subscribers. And at the end of the day, video views and video views that drive to some level of call to action that they want people to take. And so it's my turn to invest further in this platform and prioritize this platform, because I see the huge opportunity that's not just behind us, but that's ahead of us. So the opportunity that we've had has been huge and changed people's life. But I believe the opportunity ahead on this platform is even bigger. So that's why I'm doubling down in 2023, and I think you should too. To double down, I think you don't need me to feed off a bunch of stats that there's billions of users. There's, average American spending basically an hour a day on the platform. It's the new television. We're actually watching it on our televisions more than any other device. And between mobile phones, televisions, computers, basically YouTube is a part of most of our everyday life. It's how we get education. It's how we get entertainment. It's how we listen to music. It's how we watch and listen to podcasts. It is where we are consuming more and more content. And so as you in your organization, your business, and you as a leader are wanting to get more attention towards what you're doing and how people can be a part of that, you're going to want to use YouTube to do that, because that's where attention is continuing to shift and where people are spending time. And so there's a few things that you need to do as you're creating content to make sure that you're successful on this platform. The first thing you need to do, and this is one of the things I hear from every YouTuber over and over and over again, because what people are often looking to me from is, what's the tips? What are the tricks? What's the hack? And at the end of the day, the most important thing to your success on this platform is good content. Now, I've heard this from Mr. Beast. I've heard this from Casey Neistat. I've heard this from Sean Cannell. And so all of the YouTubers that are basically the experts on this platform, number one is not how long your video is, not how creative your title is. It's how good is your video, because it doesn't matter all the other things you do if you're not creating good content that's adding value to the consumer. Now, value might be humor, value might be just education. It doesn't have to be necessarily like that you're going to take away a nugget. Sometimes it's just laughter, and sometimes it's just a smile. Maybe it's just something to entertain, but at the end of the day, it needs to add value. Now, the second thing that I think, as I said, number one needs to be content. Number two needs to be how you package it. And this is where what I continue to learn over and over and over again is that I cannot put enough energy and time and creative energy into the thumbnails and the titles. And so you need to package your video well for people to find it through search and YouTube to recommend it. And the recommendation is primarily driven by engagement. So how long people are watching your videos, but that thumbnail is what is leading them to hit a decision as to whether to click the video or not click the video. I heard Mr. Beast say that he spends between $5,000 and $10,000 on every thumbnail.
and because it is, the return on investment is massive there. And so he wants to make sure he gets that aspect of his videos right, because that determines whether 1 million people watch a video for him or 10 million people watch a video. And so for you, as you continue to create great content here, make sure you're packaging it right with a well thought out title for search results and a really creative, engaging, appealing thumbnail that's going to get people's attention and lead them to click play. The third thing you need to learn as you set up your YouTube channel and optimize it is you want to have great content, you want to package it well, and you want to get their attention in the first 30 seconds. One of the things that has happened historically on television is we'll have like this bumper that will play on the front end of a television show that will almost be like the intro that you want to fast forward. We've got used to fast forwarding, but sometimes we're putting these on our YouTube videos as well. And you don't want people to feel like they need to fast forward into your YouTube video. The stats are telling us that if people will watch through the first 30 seconds, they're 90% more likely to watch all the way till the end. So you need to make sure you get people to that first 30 seconds and help them to know, here's what they're going to get. And here's basically why they want to watch the video. So the thumbnail needed to click play. The first 30 seconds needs them to not hit, X out or click to the next video. And so you need to make sure in that first 30 seconds that it's highly captivating, highly creative, and highly appealing to why you need to watch the rest. And so while you don't want to give away everything that's happening in the video, you want to make sure that you give a strong hook that's going to lead to them not clicking away once they've gotten into that video. Now, the last thing I want to encourage you to do with your YouTube channel to optimize it in 2023 is to engage with the community. One of the things that YouTube is providing more and more functionality around is community. And so while we historically have needed to drive people away from YouTube to engage with us in effective community, to Twitter, to Instagram or other platforms. And I think it is good to diversify from a marketing perspective, but make sure you're maximizing the community functionality within YouTube. Now that's the comments right there on your videos, or it's also the community section there on your YouTube channel. As people have the opportunity to interact with you, when you take the time to interact back with them, it leads to depth of connection with your community. So make sure you're utilizing those functions that YouTube is giving you. Okay, the last thing I want to give you is maybe the most important thing for 2023. So I'm kind of saving it here for the end of the video, but I think that it's critical to success in YouTube in 2023 is we have gotten used to horizontal video, which what you're seeing in this video, but what is happening in YouTube and where YouTube is prioritizing as we go into 2023 is vertical video through YouTube Shorts. And so you need to be able to create content, whether it's clips of your current content, but really dedicated, unique content that's shot in 60 seconds or less in vertical. And so while we have horizontal video that's really made for a television or a computer screen, vertical video is optimized for the mobile experience. And so as you're creating long form video, the average YouTube video is now over 10 minutes long that people are consuming, but vertical video needs to be less than a minute long. So we've got to learn how to entertain, to educate, to inform, to add value in both a 10-minute plus video and a 1 minute or less video. And so we've got to learn how to do both formats if we're going to crush YouTube in 2023. I believe that in 2023, Twitter is going to crush. I'm documenting it, and so we come back and watch whether I was right or whether I was wrong. But right now, it's the end of 2022 as I'm recording this video. Elon has been at the helm of Twitter for just a couple of weeks, and all the news is rest in peace, Twitter. Everyone's quitting. It's about to die. But I think in 2023, it's going to explode in a good way. And I'm going to explain why in this video. I'm going to get right to the point. There's one reason why I think Twitter is going to explode in 2023 in a good way, and that's Elon. Now, Elon is crazy and he is a genius all at the same time. And we've seen, though, what he's done historically. He is an entrepreneur like no other entrepreneur, and he has changed industries like no other leader has in multiple industries. As you think about what he did with PayPal and building basically changing the way we transact money online, that was fascinating. And it's something that at the end of the day, I think we've all used at some point and continue to use and will continue to use. And then he goes and builds a new car company, which nobody's done in decades. Not just a new car company, but a new way that cars work. and leading the way in electric vehicles. And then he goes and makes spaceships and builds a successful space exploration company or whatever it is that's providing internet all over the world. And so at the end of the day, I believe in Elon. And so while his tactics might be crazy, Elon has a record of success. And the reality is as a social media consultant, I have been telling my clients for years, you probably don't need to invest in Twitter. The attention just isn't there. Their business model just isn't working. And while I don't think it's going to disappear, I also don't think it's going to take off. It just is what it is. Well, with Elon at the helm, I don't think it is just what it is. I think it is what it's about to become. And so Elon has talked about things like it's going to become a super app like WeChat. He's talked about it having long form video like YouTube. He's talked about bringing back Vine. And so he has vision for where Twitter can go, and he has a track record of success. And so from my standpoint, I'm betting on Twitter. And so while Twitter might explode, or in a bad way, it might also explode in a good way, but it's a risk that I'm willing to take. And I think what we often look for in social media is where is new attention going to move? And so what we've seen in the first couple of weeks of Elon at the helm is Twitter engagement is at the height that it's ever been. So while the internal workings of what was a failing business at the end of the day, it is now being all mixed up and changed up, it is now, I believe, potentially going to move to a successful business model, which is going to allow for a level of innovation that we haven't seen in probably more than a decade at Twitter, where we saw these incremental changes in just a couple of weeks of Twitter, being taken over by Elon. We have seen a huge rise in engagement and attention. And there's been a number of circumstances, I think, that we could say have led to that, but only time will tell. Will Twitter Spaces crush Clubhouse? I think so. Let me explain. Clubhouse is the new app around for the last year or so, and a lot of people are buzzing about it. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are asking for invites. It's now been around for a little bit. People are figuring out this new audio social game and how this works. And now Twitter came along and introduced Twitter Spaces. Facebook is in the process of creating Facebook Live rooms. I think it's called, or about to be called. And this is a medium that's coming in. I expect LinkedIn to have similar functionality and features integrated into their systems if they don't just outright buy Clubhouse. So I do think that Twitter Spaces is going to crush Clubhouse. And I think this is a reality with a lot of mediums. Look at Periscope and Meerkat. Meerkat was great. The functionality was great. It worked fine. But the reality is that Twitter acquired Periscope, and Periscope had the most user base, and it won. And it had the most engagement until Facebook Live came along, and Facebook, which had the billions of users, was able to come in and introduce the medium of live video to a mass audience. And so you're going to see the same thing happen, I believe, with Clubhouse, where Clubhouse has introduced this medium, this format of live audio in a social context, but they don't have the built-in user base. They don't have the built-in technology developers and everything needed to build at scale a platform like this. And so I do think they're introducing the new medium, but I don't think they're going to crush it. And so that's why I do think Twitter is going to win this until Facebook potentially even outgrows Twitter when it comes to this live audio functionality. Although I do think Twitter, based on the users and it being a very news-focused app, has a leg up, at least in the start, when it comes to this feature and this functionality built into the social media platforms. So the three reasons I think Twitter is going to crush Clubhouse when it comes to live social audio. First is built-in audience. As I talked about, Twitter has millions of users. Clubhouse is having to introduce its brand to a new audience. So it's not just a new medium, but it's a new audience and a new medium. And so much more challenging than just introducing a new feature to your audience with a built-in platform. The second is just what I talked about, the platform, because Twitter already has an Android app. Twitter already has a web portal. Twitter already has a iOS app. So Twitter already has all the platforms out there. People already have the Twitter app on their devices. And so because they've got the built-in user base and they've got the built-in technology, they have the foundation to grow the platform, which leads to my third reason, and that's because of their development team. And so because they have the community, and because they have the platforms where people are already engaged, and because they have the development team to scale the technology to their user base, I think that's just really not fair to Clubhouse. And so Clubhouse has really done a great job of scaling to date. I think over the next year or 2 years, you're going to really see either Clubhouse acquired or Clubhouse shut down, similar to Meerkat when it came to live video, as now we're looking at live audio. I saw a stat the other day that said less than 1% of your Twitter followers are seeing your tweets. And I started looking at my Twitter engagement, and that was close to accurate. And so is it time in 2021 to just abandon Twitter? Hey there, I'm Nils Smith, your social media guide, and today we're talking about Twitter and whether it's time to bail on Twitter in 2021. And let's see, let's talk about it. Let's talk about reasons why you should bail and reasons why you should stay. And I'll tell you one reason why you shouldn't bail or stay, I should probably better say, is because you've invested a lot of time. Because you've invested a lot of time doesn't mean you should just keep investing time if there's not a good return on investment of your time. Your time is your most valuable asset, and you cannot waste your time. So if Twitter is not the right social network for you, you shouldn't keep doing it. MySpace, people invested a lot of time in. I invested a lot of time in it. There's a point where you have to let it go. And so maybe it's time for you to let go of Twitter. Maybe it's not. I personally have invested a ton of time into Twitter. And whenever I do let go of Twitter, if I let go of Twitter at some point, it's going to be hard. But if I'm not getting good return on my time investment, it's going to be time to let go of Twitter. So you get a less than 1% engagement rate with your content. That's significant. And so there are some accounts and some people that get really great engagement on Twitter, and there are other people that used to get great engagement on Twitter, and they're no longer, because people are on Twitter for different reasons. Now, it's primarily used as a news app now. And so it's where people are going to see what's trending, to pay attention to their favorite shows or sporting events and get their news and information. They're not necessarily there just to socially catch up on what's going on with their friends and family. They're there to get their news and information. They're going on Facebook and Instagram to keep up with friends and family. And so if you're just there for personal engagement and connection, it might be time to bail. Another reason it might be time to bail, or maybe it's time for you to not even get in, is if you're not on Twitter in 2021, you've never been on Twitter, and you're like, oh, should I set up a Twitter account? Probably not. It's probably not the time to jump into Twitter as a new platform within your ecosystem. There are lots of other social networks that are growing at a faster rate, that have more time and attention of users, and so Twitter is not a place you're probably wanting to build a new platform on. It's probably a place to stay if you're already engaged, already have a following there, an engaged community there, but you don't want to start new on Twitter in 2021. So here's the bottom line. Do you find value on Twitter? And so that return on investment of, if you're posting content on Twitter, are people looking at it? Are people responding to it? Are people engaging with it? And if so, stay on Twitter. Now, it might be that you're not posting content on Twitter, but you're going to Twitter for news and information. I check Twitter daily. I check the trending, because I want to see what's going on culturally in the world and in the United States and in New York City, as it kind of gives me kind of customized trends based on where I am and my interest, as well as kind of the global trends that are happening across Twitter. So I love getting my news and information there. So just the time spent of watching is worth the investment to me. But I will say, from a content standpoint, I'm still posting to Twitter. I'm still tweeting, but it's definitely an afterthought. It's not the place that I'm really customizing content for ongoing engagement, because I have seen such significant decline in engagement on the platform in comparison to engagement on Instagram or engagement on TikTok or some of these other developing platforms where there is more attention and there are new opportunities to gain and build new audience. So that's the bottom line. If you're getting value, stay. If you're getting no value, bail. It really is up to you
But I will say Twitter is not on the up and up, but it's also not dying. Twitter is here, and I think it's really niched in as a news platform. If you're in the news business, you've got to be on Twitter. But if you're just there to engage, just like any other social network, to add to your list of social networks, it's not time to jump in, and it might be time to bail. You've got to make that decision for you and your goals and with your time. So in 2021, I've been diving deep on LinkedIn. I think there's so much opportunity on this platform. I dove into it several years back, spent a lot of time on it, built some great relationships and interactions, and then my attention went elsewhere. But I'm back in. I'm back in on LinkedIn on a daily basis, and I'm seeing some consistent trends that aren't good. And I think that you can learn from if you're going to get the most out of LinkedIn. Hey there, I'm Nils Smith, your social media guide. And on this channel, I share social media tips and tricks as a social media marketer, as well as some just fun tech gadgets and tech software that to help you accomplish your goals using social media and technology. And in this episode, we're talking about LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a platform that I really enjoy using. I love the functionality. I love the professional interactions and engagement. And I'm seeing some consistent trends of how people are using it that honestly really hurt the platform and make me not want to be there and others not want to be there and are really wasting your time. If you're doing these things, you're not getting the most out of LinkedIn as a platform. So let's talk about those things. The first thing that I see is spam DMs. So spam direct messages right into the box, just adding a contact, and then immediately when they accept the request, sending them a bunch of messages, and I just want 15 minutes of your time. It's annoying, it's obnoxious. The truth is it probably works if you continue to do it and people continue to do it, but I can't imagine you're really getting good leads that are leading to meaningful business. Spamming is just not a good idea. Just cold messaging rarely works, and so we've got to stop. Use it more authentically. Use it in a more relational way, but just stop blowing up the inbox, because then people will stop checking the inbox and it will become less valuable. And we need good engagement there, a personalized engagement there, not automated engagement in the DMs. The second mistake that I see people making very consistently on LinkedIn is people using their company logos rather than their headshot. And so people want to connect to people professionally and personally, and that's just a natural way that social media happens. It's social, it's person to person, and there's an organizational function on LinkedIn. And I think there's a professional connection, but people want to connect to you, the person, not necessarily your organization. And there are pages for your organization to function as an organization. But your personal profile needs to be you. And people are much more likely to engage with you if they see your face. And so just being thoughtful to get a good headshot and put that in that profile picture is going to increase your engagement significantly. So if you've got a company logo or any other type of image as your profile image, change that. And I would say even if you have like a full body photo, it's so hard to see that little image. Use a headshot, get it close in on your face. People connect face to face on social networks in general, and LinkedIn is no different than the others in that way. Now, the third mistake is a mistake I see across all social networks, and it really hurts me on LinkedIn, is using LinkedIn as a bullhorn. And I so many salespeople want to get on there and just start selling. And at the end of the day, people that respond to a good sales pitch are friends. They're people that know you. They're people that trust you. And so as you get on there, build relationships, establish trust, let people know that you care. And when people know that you care, they're going to listen to what you're selling if it really is valuable. But if they don't trust you, they're going to blow you off. And if you have no trust and nobody's listening, then you're wasting your time on LinkedIn. I think it's a great place to sell, but sell in a relational way. Don't sell just with a megaphone, getting onto other people's comment threads and trying to get your link out there. And so use it as a relational tool to build relationships to accomplish your goals. And so stop using it as a bullhorn to get your message out in an annoying and obnoxious way. And then the last thing that I want to suggest when it comes to LinkedIn is having an incomplete profile. Take the time to really fill out that about section. Fill out that kind of resume-like section that shows your experience, and include experience of volunteer experience, or if you're on the board of a nonprofit organization, or lots of different things that you've done. Include those so that people can know who you are, what you've experienced, and maybe some unique things about you through your profile. Make sure you've got your education in there, and that opportunity for people to find out, like, oh, you were a marketing major, but now you're in finance, or there's some unique things that can be found through people's profile. One of the first things that happens when you connect with people or reconnect with somebody professionally is you look through their profile and see, wait, do I have some connections? And maybe they know my friend who went to the same college, or whatever that might be. Having a complete profile is going to enhance your relationship significantly on LinkedIn, and it doesn't take that much time. Now, it isn't just your resume. Now, people use it like a resume, and there are functions similar to a professional resume, but it's a way to just really share your education and professional experience and volunteer experience oftentimes with the LinkedIn community, and you never know what connections are going to come out of that. And the more thorough your profile is, the more likely others are to engage with you.